All right, I think I'm live. All right, good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody has their Saturday morning drink of choice. It is indeed coffee for me. And let's make sure this is all working as it should. If I sound okay, Black Monday incoming. Why would there be Black Monday incoming? Was there some sort of bad news or something that I missed? What makes you think Black Monday? Hey, morning, Kelvin. Did I miss something? Thought I scrolled through my... Usually I do at least the headline scroll. I don't remember seeing anything. Oh, I did see that. I did see the credit rating drop. Yeah, that is... I do remember that now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's sad. It's sad, don't get me wrong. It's pathetic. It'd be great if the politicians would just stop spending so much money. Yeah, I'm actually looking at that article right now. Good point. Yeah. I don't know. Black Monday is kind of a drastic term, but I get what you're saying. Like that wasn't the most. Is that what caused this actually? So the futures, which is where I want to start. Excuse me. The last, basically, we'll call it 15 minutes of the day. Is that when that news came out? I need help on entries. Trade revolution. Last time this happened in 2013, and we declined for a good few months. So we've had the Fred. Okay, so this is what caused the sell-off. Then that was that news. The headline I wrote: Moody's downgrades United States credit rating, citing growth in government debt. So at least that headline does not suggest anything about tariffs. Yes, sir. 2 minute. Okay. So that makes... No, that still doesn't make sense, though. Because right here is where... This is where the U.S. stock market closed right there. Because futures is open for another hour until 5 p.m. So it couldn't have been 2 minutes after, because 2 minutes after, nothing was going on. And then the drop happened basically the last 15 minutes. So I'm thinking that must have been what caused that late days. I actually got a trade on this. This was a kind of a cherry on top of what was a relatively frustrating week. I just happened to be kind of around, and somebody in our private chat room mentioned a dump. So I pulled it up and I was like, whoa, okay. But now that I think about it, I never even really looked into what actually caused it. But I would think that's what caused it. But that doesn't make sense if they announced it 2 minutes after the closing bell. Because there's no way it took this long for it to all of a sudden show up. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying, Trader Revolution, is if it happened 2 minutes after the closing bell, where the I don't know. I'm all turned around right now. Regardless, though, yeah, that had to have been what it was. I can't think of anything else that would have. So it must have been released right here at that period right around there. Actually, just rejected. Looks like around 15 minutes after. Yeah, this had to been it. This has had to been when it released. Somewhere like right there. I just that's when it's. So we'll call it probably about 45-ish minutes after the closing bell would be my guess. Closing bell being defined as the closing bell of the USA stock market at 4 p.m. Eastern time. That's how I'm defining closing bell. But yeah, for anybody that's not aware of the conversation, it's worth mentioning for sure, because part of the Saturday morning coffee is just preparing for the new week. So yes, what's being discussed here. is this news right there. Downgrades the U.S. credit rating. So I'll be actually. I wonder what bonds probably spiked. I would assume. Let's see. Where's bonds? Okay. Well, yeah. I'll be very. I'm more so curious what's going to go on with the bond market. That'll be very interesting. It was 454. Okay. Yeah. There we go. All right. That makes sense. That makes sense. VO noob. It was 4:54 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, like right around this area here. Yep. Okay, yeah. That definitely makes more sense. So we'll see if this carries into it. But yes, what caused this and just let's see the extended hours. Yeah. So yeah, right here is where that had to have come out. When the news came out, even in the extended hours for the SPY, the normal markets, we were looking at the futures. Well, I mean, yeah, B. Martin, you mentioned earlier, what did you say? How did you use it? You mentioned, I need help on entries. I mean, I understand that's kind of, it seems like, I mean, what is that? That's all of, I need help on entries. I realize that's like a 5-word statement, but that's a very in-depth question. That's a very in-depth question. So I'm gonna link this to you. You can do with it what you will, but that is like, I mean, that's like one of the big bread and butter questions of trading. Hey, how do I get a good entry point? Unfortunately, that takes a little bit more than what could ever be mapped out here. So this right here is my mentorship program. That right there will help you answer that question, among many others. But that's sort of like a very important question, a very important skill to have, and that class will help you in that regard. So, like I said, you asked. I'm not trying to turn this into a sales pitch, but there you go. That'll help you in that regard. That's a good way of putting it, RV. A good entry point into trading is a solid education. I can agree with that. Hey, as a reminder, this is Saturdays and this is viewer driven. So we will go wherever you want to take us. So if you have a request for a stock, crypto, futures, forex, if you have just a question about prop firms, question about prop firm strategy, question just about kind of trading in general, assuming it's not outside of the scope, such as, hey, how do I get a good entry point? Like I said, that is a good question, but that's nothing that can be accomplished within this because that's actually a very in-depth question. There's a lot of pieces that go into answering that question, but so like I said, this is all driven by you. Oh wow, Trader Revolution. Oh, okay, deleted some. I was gonna say you don't have to delete all those messages, but that's all right. But yes, so like I said, this may be a 10-minute live stream. This could be a couple hour live stream. It's all going to be based on your interaction. So if nobody has any requests or wants to talk about anything or whatever, that's fine. It just won't go. But like I said, requests for a stock analysis, a futures chart analysis, crypto, forex, and also if you've been to one of these Saturday mornings before and you know you're going to enjoy, make sure you hit that like button. So I know these ones are always a little bit less attended, so we won't be going for anything crazy in terms of the likes, but so we were just talking about the credit rating downgrade, which did indeed send the markets. Here's the ES. So yeah, you can see right where basically that news came out, and pretty rough there. So we'll see. So yes, somebody asked, will there be Black Monday? I don't know about Black Monday, but I think it'll be pretty interesting. Although that's why I do like the futures market, because it'll give us a little bit better insight, because futures will open back up Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So we'll kind of get an idea of what the market's thinking about it all before the stock market ever opens up. So that's always an interesting kind of dynamic, how the futures market, I guess, no pun intended, almost is giving us a future look on what people will think about, how stocks play out. All right, well, maybe I'll just wrap it up here. Nobody's got requests. Nobody's got questions. Nobody's got anything in the chat box. So I'm struggling here. I'm struggling here. Like I said, the Saturday episodes are viewer driven, but I guess I can start. We'll just look at the overall markets for a minute here. What is your edge? How do you trade? My edge is technical analysis. I am a technical trader. That is how I attempt to gain my edge, is via the technical chart, specifically candlesticks. Good morning for a special wife haircut. All right. Now we got some. Okay, now we're cooking. Now we're cooking in the chat. There we go. That's better. That's better. All right. Let's just look at the overall markets here with kind of the little asterisk that there was that news that came out Friday after the close that maybe puts a dampen on this sort of stuff. So overall, though, another good, healthy day. Gapped up on Monday and just kept on grinding. Crazily enough. I guess we put it, okay, yeah. All right, well, we could have some resistance levels here. But then after that, really, next overall level of resistance, essentially the highs, which was the top of this sideways area over here where it's kind of chopping around. So I don't want you to, I want to put too much on up here quite yet, but we're starting to enter into what I would call this general resistance area. The beginning of it, though, is this bottom red line, which you can see right there, acted as resistance. So, but like I said, we'll see how much the market cares about the credit stuff, or if it just kind of shakes it off. But overall, they're looking strong there on the SPY. Let's take a look at the QQQ. I think this one may be pushed into, let's see, we had this as a little miniature area. Okay, yeah. I was looking right there as resistance, but the price is actually technically already above that, so it's already cleared. Here's a true story. There were some people panicking and selling there. Okay, let me just liquidate my 401k right there. Ooh, that's why you kind of got to avoid the headlines. Don't let the mainstream media freak you out. Because you know there's at least some people somewhere in the world that were like, they were tapping out. This was the day that they're like, no. Can't do it anymore. You know, I said it would go back up right there, and I gave it a chance. But then I said, nope, it'll go back up after that. I gave it another chance. But you know what? 3 strikes, you're out. I'm getting out down here. I gave that thing plenty of opportunity, both here and on those days, to bounce. It continues to not bounce. I am out right there. You know, there's got to be at least several people around the world that adapted that sort of psychology. Whew. They're not probably having the best past couple of weeks. DFDV. What is this? How much volume did this have? What am I looking at here? What am I looking at? I mean, okay. So clearly some sort of news came out. Not a huge fan of that. After hours, a whopping 13,000 shares. So, I mean, yeah, that's crazy movement. No doubt about that. But this looks like yeah. I mean, I would say it's untradeable from a day trading standpoint. I'm imagining huge spreads on this one. So, yes, a day trading death trap. I don't know if that's how, who asked for this one. KB. I don't know if KB's asking about this from a day trading standpoint, but if it is from a day trading standpoint, just looking at this, let's even looking at the 1 minute. Yeah, 1 minute. Look at this thing. So I'm assuming not asking from a day trading standpoint, but if you are, that would be a very, very, very poor decision to try to day trade this. So I'm assuming either from a swing trading standpoint, but yeah, not a whole lot can be said other than, yeah, big move. But besides that, yeah, big move. Yeah, from, 98 up to 150 in a single day on less volume. I would, hopefully you're in like here already, or better yet, maybe you bought that dip. A pretty crazy move. Don't day trade it though. Don't day trade it. If you were to have bought puts on SPY, what downtrend? Well, right now I would definitely not be buying puts on the SPY. It's got a very clear downtrend. But per your question, if I had, then yeah, I'd probably be looking for it to come down, at least back test the 200 period right there. Again, if I just go with, but yes, buying puts right now, especially from a swing trading standpoint, seems a bit sketchy. But if I had, I'd look for at least that level right there. Because worst case, it comes down there, does the classic back test and go? Well, that's why it seems like a target to at least get some sort of initial target. What do you see XBot doing? XBot. What is XBot? Well, right now, XBot F. XBot. Okay, XBot must actually be XBot F now, I'm assuming. So yeah, right now this one I would say is at a pretty important area. It has officially closed that gap. So right here is the gap close, which ideally you want to see hold as support. And so far so good. You can see back on Thursday held as support, bounce, and closed right there. So that's going to be the first big question mark on this one. Can this area continue to hold as support? That being right there at 28 cents. If it doesn't, well then, that doesn't mean anything's for sure going to happen. But next area of support, not until down around here. So could this thing drift all the way there? It could. And then that 50 period becomes a kind of a do or die must hold level, because if the price were to come down to the purple line and then break down through there, at that point, now all of a sudden you have the price having gone right back to where it was. And not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that make big moves and all of a sudden go right back to where they were, that's what a pump and dump is called. So DFDV is being touted as a MS. Okay, well, yeah. Sounds like you're more of a fundamental trader. But yeah, I don't, that stuff's too dangerous for me. I would argue there's better ways to go big or go home. Because playing stuff like that is definitely go big or go home. So hopefully it is with money that if it were to poof disappear overnight, you would be okay. Again, if you have a request for a stock, for a Forex pairing, for a futures chart, let me know in the chat room, and I'm just starting at the edge and I'm working my way down. If you have a question, on prop firm strategy, all that, anything like that, let me know. This is all going to be viewer driven. I will say right now, this one's making me wonder, maybe the Saturday stuff's not really necessarily worth it, because we are not very interactive, but to be fair, we don't have a big crowd. So I don't know. Maybe as we drift more in the summer, we're not quite summer yet, but yeah, this is we've had better than this, but again, I'm not necessarily just looking at the numbers. They're not as strong as what they normally are. Yesterday was a great trading day. Just bummer missed the news. Oh, yeah. I'm glad it was for you, Elusive. This whole past week was kind of rough for me. I mean, I was green overall, but it was just one of those not so feeling good greens. But I will say, yeah, that late day trade yesterday, when that news came out, I captured a nice trade to close out the week, so that helped. Morning, forgot to set the coffee up last night. Well, hopefully you got your coffee now, Emmy. Interesting to see what happens next week. Overall, overnight range have been tightening. Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting for sure. Should I get into a short right now? I'm not sure what that's in regards to. Please analyze AMD. Okay, let's take a look at AMD. Joss Stone. What broker is it? Can you be a little bit more specific? Mr. Stone. Yeah, I actually did AMD in my top 10 list yesterday, so I already have annotations. AMD is pretty straightforward right now. We just have this bull pennant that's formed. So a little miniature bull pennant, all occurring very nicely up above the purple line there, that 50-period moving average. So just because something's bullish in pattern doesn't mean it's for sure guaranteed going to go up. But that's the 30-minute. Let's drop down to what does the hourly look like? Yeah, hourly it's grinding, just higher highs, higher lows. I mean, technically speaking, it was a lower high on Friday, but even with that, and I'm doing this very crudely, I mean, you can still have a multi-day bull pennant pattern. So yeah, AMD's slow and surely. You're in prime kid soccer game time. That is true. Kind of. On the Eastern time, I am. I suppose in Central too, 9 o'clock. That's a fair point. Yeah, maybe Saturdays should be more so evenings. That's a fair point. Again, if you have requests for anything, willingness to change and grow. I tried to prop firm. I didn't make it past the test. I didn't want to pay 100 to redo it, but at some point, I'll try it again. Well, I mean, do you have a strategy? I mean, what's the alternative? You're going to go and trade with your own funds and then take a way bigger loss? I mean, I guess what's the alternative to what you're doing right now? I guess, yeah, it is baseball too, Tom. That's a good point. But any recommendations making that I don't trade your strategy, manage risk, Do trend lines work? I like trend lines. I think trend lines work. Are trend lines perfect? No, nothing's perfect though. It was funny a few days ago on the live stream. Someone was like, "Trend lines are so 2013." Okay. Said like the true kind of person that likes to chase after whatever the next holy grail indicator is or whatever. Yeah, I like trend lines just because they're pretty simple. And when things are simple, that means a lot of people are watching them. And when a lot of people are watching something, you can get some of those self-fulfilling prophecies. So I like trend lines for that easy. I'm still waiting for my answer, the willingness to change and grow. Like, what's the alternative? You're going to go back to trading your own money? So you've just proven that you're I'm not quite sure you have a strategy. So you're going to go back and start to trade your own funds with no strategy? Am I understanding right, or am I missing something? How do you find key levels for day trading? Okay, well, now you're starting to enter into the territory of that's a pretty in-depth question. You may not think it is, but it is. So I'll send you here if you want to learn more about stuff like that. Basically, now you're officially asking, how do I put together a quality trade plan? And that's what that'll help you with. Yeah, good thoughts there, Red Tiger. Good thoughts there. What does the ES actually look like on the day? Okay, yeah. So ES, which is just the futures chart for the S&P. Big movement this past week as it got up above that pink line there, which is a 200 period moving average. Also got up above the resistance line right here, which had knocked down the price both there and there. So anyway, any way you want to slice it, the markets continue. This past week was very good. Not necessarily because it was a green week. Of course, that plays a role in it. But just strictly talking from a technical point of view, it was a good week because, I mean, it's breaking through these areas. And it's, not one of these, which I think we've all been there before, where something breaks out. And it's, hey, just kidding, and then it drops. No, this one broke out, maintained it, and then it's slowly been grinding. So ES looking good. 30-minute. Yes, as we've already discussed now, that was because of the credit rating news. But even with that news, notice how it still did ultimately respect that purple line there. So 50 period moving average, again, that purple line seems to be an area that will carry with it some significance next week. If things get really spicy to the downside, that pink line there, 200 period moving average, might be an area that is worth keeping an eye on. And the live stream space still continues to confuse me. Willingness to change and grow takes a bunch of time, types up a big message. I reply to it almost instantly, and then zero follow through on the interaction. It's just a weird place. Live streams, I still don't quite get it. I do understand if like I didn't get to the message until like 20 minutes from now, and then I don't hear anything. Well, okay, he left. But hey, Tech Facts Global, did you even click on the link I sent you? Be honest, did you even click on it? Oh, there he is. Yes, that's what happened, but I'm still at some point going to do and figured out a strategy. It was first time doing it, and I really didn't know what I was and didn't cut. Okay, well, good. I'm glad. So the question and the powerful thing that maybe you're not quite fully baking it. Well, what? I'll just assume that you're doing a 50K. So let's say he got 50,000 purchasing power. The nice thing here is he didn't cut his losses. You know, we've all gone down the dumb rabbit hole of not cutting losses. Fair enough. Had he done that with his own money, it could have been $2,000, if not more, of his own money. But because he was in a prop firm, sure, as he just admitted, he failed the test. So how much did he actually lose out of his pocket for not cutting the losses? Again, if he was in and using his own money, that would have been $2,000, if not more, of his. But because he was in a prop firm setting, his ultimate risk that came out of his pocket was a whopping $119. So that's just where I'm glad. It sounds like Willingness to Change has discovered a couple things. Yeah, I probably need to work better. I need to figure out my strategy better. I need to work on cutting losses. I'm glad that very important lesson. Good job. We've all been there. I'm glad you've learned the lesson. But that very important lesson, I'm glad it only cost him $119 as opposed to $2,000, if not more. And that's how a lot of people, you start off. You learn some valuable lessons, but wow, that valuable lesson cost me like thousands of dollars. Whereas the prop firm world, it's only going to cost you the cost of the account because that's all that you have at risk. And then, you can try again. And the nice thing about Take Profit Trader, who I'm recommending, is you can try that. And it's not $119 anymore. It would just be $100. And that would be for any size of these accounts. So thank you for sharing Willingness to Change. I appreciate your transparency. But that's a very good example of why day trading futures through a prop firm is so beneficial, because you can learn some very key lessons, even the simple ones such as, I got to get better at cutting my losses. But I'm glad that lesson did not cost you thousands. It just cost you whatever the price of the account was. You should switch the timeline around to figuring out a strategy first. Oh, okay then. Yeah, and I don't disagree, RV, but sometimes the only way you're actually going to figure out a strategy and fine-tune it is by trading. And not necessarily in a strictly pure demo platform where you have zero detachment, there's zero emotions, there's zero anything, because you have literally zero skin in the game. But even just a little bit of skin in the game can start to prompt some voices, can start to prompt some of those psychological battles that traders go through. And that's, again, where, like I said, I'm not saying you're wrong per se, but there is that fuzzy area where if there's truly zero skin in the game, it's just not the same. It's just not the same. But when it comes to quote unquote skin in the game, I'd rather only have $100 being truly at risk as opposed to potentially thousands. Reese, we just talked about at the beginning of all this. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how the futures market opens up on Sunday with a debt downgrade. Exactly, willingness. So he was doing the 50K, so yes. So I did guess right. Exactly. So willingness to learn, he learned willingness to change, learned some very valuable lessons. He did fail the test, meaning within the context of the test, he lost $2,000. Now, real quickly for you kind of eagle-eye people are like, wait a second, this sounds like a scam. How can this be a valid business model? So the company gets $119 and then they're going to let you lose $2,000 of their money? Because this is all happening in a simulator environment. Because they are testing you. It's like a job interview. After you pass, after you prove yourself, then the way it works for anybody that's not familiar, then you go from the test into the pro, and then the pro and pro plus. These are the accounts where when you begin to make money, you get to keep that money. But again, you first got to pass the test and prove yourself. But the point here being is during the test phase, you're getting to learn, which willingness to earn just mentioned. He's like, well, yeah, sure. Within the program, within the simulator, I lost $2,000, but that was not out of my pocket. I only lost that for the $119 out of my pocket. So yes. What is the best indice to trade in futures markets? There's no best. I would say, Paul, to start off on MNQ. That's what I would say, and then eventually, once you get your feet wet, you can consider moving to the NQ, but the NQ is a volatile beast, but I think a good starting spot is the MNQ. Some people may say the MES, and I would not really push back against that. That's fine, but MES would be another. Now that I say that, okay, yeah, so willingness to change and grow. Right there's a massive mistake you just made. And I think you probably learned it, but you should have started off on the MES. You should not have started off on the ES. So that's something else I would suggest you now reading your messages, saying how I was doing the ES. Yes, the ES. No, start with the MES if you're going to do the S&P 500. But for Paul, me personally, I would say try starting off on the MNQ, not the NQ though. That'll be way too volatile. I mean, you can if you want, but I'm saying you're gonna sit there and be like, oh wow, okay, now I get it. Now I get what that guy on you, that goofy looking guy on YouTube was saying. What he said, futures are great because if you're looking for movement, which as day traders is what we want, we need volatility, we need movement. Yeah, that guy wasn't lying. They move. So yes, definitely. Like I said, I suppose you can start there if you want, but you might want to ease into the process a little bit with MES or MNQ. One of the cons of prop is if an up-and-coming trader trades with a prop because of the small monetary risk, solidifying bad habits is much easier. I think that would go with just demo trading too. I mean, however you're practicing, practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. If you're practicing the game of baseball with a tennis racket, are you practicing? Yes. Are you practicing very wisely? No. But yeah, I would disagree that has anything to do with prop firms. You could do the same exact thing within a demo account with no risk on the line. You can build bad habits. But that's what most people do. Because most people are like, it's all for free on the internet. I'm just going to go learn from the internet. And then they go down some deep, dark rabbit hole. And then they're building all sorts of bad habits. So yes, sure. Bad habits can be built in a prop firm. But bad habits can be built in a demo account. Bad habits can be built using your own money in the market. If you don't know what you're doing. It's a different game starting out with a prop firm because it's really only trying to make that consistent 300 or 400 a day and not necessarily making the whole move. Yeah, right. In other words, it's trying to teach you how to, the prop firm's forcing you to what? Be consistent, not be greedy. Not go for the grand slam trade, which is a good thing. Yeah, you're right. If you want to use your own money, you can go for the grand slam trades. But the problem with that is if you're wrong, well, that's all your money at risk. So that is also an argument of Pam's plant, the added risk control, specifically via the rules. Yes, there are rules that they will put upon you, but these rules are going to force you to have to think about risk management, risk control. And I know those are kind of boring topics, but they are the topics that matter the most. Don't take my word for it. Ask any trader that you trust. Hey, what's like the most important thing in trading? They're going to say risk management, risk control, not getting greedy, stuff like that. So yes, willingness to change. What you just described, you're exactly right. Like if you're showing up in a prop firm and your goal is I'm going for the grand slam, the rules aren't going to really allow you to do that. But I would say that going for the grand slam as a trader is not actually trading. You're just basically showing up in Vegas and you're going big or you're going home. Nick, sometimes you just like to argue for the sake of arguing, Nick. They're going to learn quicker via the $100. Because, I mean, come on, Nick, are you really making it? Nick, think this through. If we have a trader with $1,000 and they have a $1,000 mistake per what you just grant. So I'm just going to take that. Let's just say they have $1,000 per your own story. Yes, if they lose $1,000, so 1K, so the person has 1K, and they lose 1K. Could they theoretically? Oh wow, is that lesson going to hurt way more? It is going to hurt way more. What's the problem? Well, their journey's over. Why? Because they're at zero. They lost all their money. Right here, if the person starts with 1K and then does the prop firm, yeah, does the lesson maybe not hurt as much? Sure, it doesn't hurt as much. But you know what is more important? They're still in the game. They still have $900 left. Why? Because they didn't actually lose the $1,000 like this person did. So yeah, maybe they go lose another $100. Does it hurt as much? It doesn't hurt as much, but it still does hurt. And now, well, they still have $800. So yes, of course, if you lose your own money, it stings more. But the problem with this stinging more is that you're just going to run out of money and your journey's going to end. At least the prop firm gives you more opportunity to learn. So, yeah, I'm not. Yeah. So I'll respectfully disagree on that one. I would argue that sure, maybe one stings more, but if that one that really stings knocks you totally out of the game, well then, at least the other person, maybe it takes them 3 or 4 stings, but even after 3 or 4 stings, you're still in the game. And then maybe you go on a hot streak and you recoup all those money back. So, yeah. Well then, yeah, then I don't know what you're talking about. Like that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean by you seem to just be disagreeing for the sake of disagreeing. Because that's why I was very confused. Because I know you understand all this, so I don't quite understand what you're trying to get at. That is the point. A prop firm does not guarantee success. Let me be very clear. But can a prop firm keep you in the game longer, allow you to absorb more quote-unquote stings? Yeah, it can. But all it takes is 1 or 2 stings with your own money, and then you're literally out of money. You can have multiple stings with a prop firm, stay in the game. Again, that doesn't guarantee you're ever going to make money, but it at least gives you more opportunity. I'm getting pelted with ads every 5 minutes again. That's what? Even if you were, granted, every 5 minutes, you're going to leave just because you're getting hit with ads every 5 minutes. Goodness, some people have the attention span of a mouse. Lose $1,000 and I'm done. Back to driving a shovel. Mild exaggeration, but point is valid. Yeah, exactly. Great channel, Clay. Thank you. Is this session available to later rewatch? PD, yes. Yep, it'll be in the and I think PD Finance. I don't. You might be able to scroll back to the beginning right now and start it from the very beginning, but I don't know if that's possible. Maybe it has to conclude first. No trades happening. Yes, I know. I guess to be fair, I could be on Bitcoin right now and taking some trades. How is Bitcoin looking right now? Oh, got a little bit of a dead cat bounce here. Yeah. So Bitcoin right now at an interesting area on the 5-minute top of this channel here. So, yeah, we'll see. Well, as we talk about the other stuff, we'll just watch kind of how Bitcoin's trading, see if it gets rejected off this area or not. Maybe I just have an underlying regret of not being aware of. Me too. Me too, my friend. To your credit, though, you were much smarter than I was and got into it way before I did. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. No, I'm a total moron in that category for sure. Can I go long and short same time on 2 different prop firms to control my risk management? Yeah, I mean, if you want. I think. I don't know, read the rules. But yes, if you're asking on one separate prop firm company, can I go short, and the other one I go long? Unfortunately, though, that's not going to... you can try, Paul, but I don't think that's going to work out as well as what you think it is. Merceni. Hey, we got another request. What is your take on RDTT? All right, let's take a look at RDTT. Yeah, exactly, Zerback. I get the whole... Like, I like Paul, and I like how his mind is thinking. He's trying to, how do I get the pieces to fit together? How do I operate most efficiently? Love it. I love all that. But yeah, if only, as I like to call it, spreadsheet math, if only that spreadsheet math actually translated smoothly into what's, I would say, more so is real world math. But I do like where your mind's at, Paul. I appreciate the fact you're trying to think efficiently, think wisely, and the fact that you're even thinking. That's great. That's great, Paul. But yeah, I know you can make the math work on a spreadsheet, but the spreadsheet math versus real world math, there's oftentimes a disconnect. So on Reddit here, key resistance right now seems to be about 127.50. Rejected. To give credit where credit's due, though, the bulls are building higher bases, so they're making progress. So on that note, you could if you wanted to. In fact, I don't think I'd put up much fight. Could just call this a daily ascending triangle on Reddit itself. So resistance, support, there is the ascending triangle, which is the bullish pattern. Not just because something's bullish doesn't mean for sure it's going up, but it is a bullish pattern nonetheless. So yeah, I like it. I like it from the daily standpoint. I like the ascending triangle pattern of it. Now, how you want to play the ascending triangle, well, I mean, you got to, that'll be up to your kind of personal risk tolerance. I haven't asked in a while, but if you're enjoying, make sure you hit that like button. And if you have a request, a question, whatever, throw that in the chat box. If you are short on time and want me to get to it immediately, then $5 super chats make that happen. But if you got time and you don't mind waiting for me to work my way down to it, that works also. Let's check out the 30-minute here on Reddit. Again, stocks, Forex, futures, crypto. We'll take a look at whatever. If you have a question about prop firm strategy, futures trading, since this is mainly a day trading futures channel, all about Pam's plant. Looking here on the Reddit, or Reddit on the 30-minute. Okay, I would say another area that I see now as resistance, right here at that level, 117.50. So yes, this is more so the overarching level that we just talked about on the daily time frame, but now that we're on the 30-minute, before you talk at all about 127.50, the chart is telling us apparently that this 117.50 area is going to be a problem. And I mean, if you really want to get down in the weeds, and even before you talk about 117.50, Can the price even break above these moving averages right here? So in other words, if you just make it 117.50 as kind of the breakout period or the point, I can see that making sense, because if the price is breaking out here, then that implies that it's already broken above that level and already broken above that level. Whereas if you make the key breakup point this, for example, well, now you have to worry about, well, yeah, but is it going to break above there? And if it breaks above there, is it going to be able to break above there? But if you just set that as kind of the key mark, then at least you know that these two ones down here have already been cleared. VIX calls printing. Did the VIX spike? Oh, wait, did you say calls? Oh, okay. Wait, no. VIX calls. You want this thing to go up. VIX continuing. Well, it'll be interesting to see what the VIX is. You would think at least starts off with a gap up on Monday. VIX here measures fear. So can you tell when the market was very fearful? Any guesses? If you're like, huh. Well, if the VIX measures fear, meaning the higher it goes, the more fearful the market is, market looks kind of fearful right there. Yeah, good call. And then if we just look at the normal markets, we'll notice that the normal markets are in that same exact time period. We're dropping because the markets were quite fearful at that point. So yes, VIX right now, actually, the markets are becoming less fearful, because looking closely, you can see it actually broke slightly down below the lows right there. So I'm not sure what you mean by VIX calls printing. Clay, with Take Profit Trader, if you are up, say, 100K in your funded account and accidentally break a rule, of course, the account gets closed. I don't know. I don't know how that would actually work. Now, if the rule you break is you lose too much, well, then, yeah, of course you wouldn't get any of that money, because you would have lost that money within the process. But, yeah, if you were to, trade during an event, like a news event, I don't know what they would do. I guess they would take it. I don't know what their policy is on what they would do with that money. I've never really thought about that, because I'm pretty paranoid about, the news rule. Not to mention they have the calendar, they email you all that. But I do not know. But that's really the only rule that I could see breaking that wouldn't mean that your money's gone already, right? Like if you lose, if you violate the drawdown rule, well, that means that you've eaten away all the buffer, and then you've hit the drawdown too. When it comes to trading, don't forget to factor in emotional math. Yeah, that's a good term for it. That's the killer. It's all fun and games with the spreadsheet math. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so maybe the better way to put it is the distinction between spreadsheet math and real world math. Real world math has, if I could say your name, I would. I don't even know if that is the name, but has emotion attached to it. Well said, well said. Eric, I appreciate your long-standing presence and wisdom. Given your interest in futures, are you no longer day trading or swing trading options? Just curious if you have. Yeah, Eric. Day trading options is truly a very inefficient, a very ridiculous thing to do. It doesn't make any mathematical sense, and you're literally working harder, not smarter. And I think you probably already know this, Eric, but just as anybody else that is here or watching this in the archive, and this is coming from somebody that's day traded options for a very long time. I was a total moron for longer than I needed to be. I was working harder, not smarter. So the claim is not that you can't make money day trading options. The claim is you're being inefficient. How so? Well, with options, when you buy, the obvious way to make money is, well, you buy something, and if it goes up, well, of course, you made money. The other obvious thing is, well, if it goes down and you want it to go up, well, then, of course, in that situation, you lose money. But what about the third thing it could do? It could just go sideways. Now, most people are going to be like, okay, well, that's the neutral one. It didn't go up, it didn't go down, so neutral. But in options, that's also you lose money because of something called theta. So without going down the rabbit hole, there's something in options trading called theta, and when it comes to day trading, if it goes sideways, you will be losing money. So think about it. Anything in life that you buy, one of these three things can happen. And this could be a piece of real estate. It could go up, it could go down, or it could just go sideways. But in options trading, two of the three things that could happen will cause you to lose money. In other words, you have a 67% chance of losing money. So if you're sitting here saying, yes, Clay, but I make money day trading options, I am very impressed by that. Well done to you. My question to you, though, is this. How much money could you have made if there was no theta? And if you're honest, you're like, well, yeah, I would have definitely made way more if I never had to deal with theta. And that's what futures gives you. Futures, you are still trading contracts just like you're trading options contracts. But in the world of futures, these contracts have no theta. There's no theta. Excuse me. So, like I said, mathematically provable right here. You are working so much harder than what you actually need to when you put yourself in a situation where you have a 67% chance to lose money. So yes, that is why I've totally abandoned options day trading. Math is math. It sort of is what it is. So, and again, Eric, maybe you already knew that, but just like I said, to answer your question, maybe answer other people's questions that are wondering. That's why in the category of day trading, just stop day trading options. Just stop it. There is a better way. There is a more efficient way, and that way is futures. To which I would argue futures through a prop firm, because if you just do futures on your own with your own money, because of this right here, especially if you're new, you're going to get crushed because futures move. And that's a good thing, though, because as day traders, we do want movement. But that's why we bring in Plant down here, which is prop firm power, because prop firm power allows you to have that risk control by protecting your own money. And the way it protects your own money is to get involved in a prop firm takes, on the very low end of the prop firm that I'm using recommending, $105. So that would be your total all-in risk is $105. So if you go out there and you get stuck in a crazy movement because you're like, whoa, I used to trade low float stocks. I used to trade small caps, and I thought those move fast. What just happened? Like I just lost on my test $1,500. So yes, you did fail, but did you actually lose $1,500? No, you only lost $105. Whereas if you're trading, the small caps or low floats, and you get stuck in a rug pull or a halt or something crazy happens, and you lose $1,500, maybe you start breaking rules, you go on tilt. Well, that's $1,500 out of your pocket. So yes, I am all for day trading futures, but definitely, if you are new to the futures game, don't use your own money because of, that. They move, and they can move quickly. And anybody that has traded futures here will tell you, you don't have to trust me. Just ask in the chat, or I don't know, people in the chat box. Let people know. Can futures move and move very quickly? And anybody that's traded, I would assume, would be like, yeah, they can move. They can move. Thank you, Clay. I'm very happy I did find your channel. Cool, Paul. Well, if you do decide to jump in the game and you want to support the channel, Paul, please remember, use code Clay. Code Clay gives you the current discount. It also it helps support the channel. And no extra cost to you. What do I think of SPCE? Well, I hope nobody is day trading SPCE. And quite frankly, I hope nobody's trying to swing trade it either for this exact reason. I mean, let's think about it. So I did do this one on my top 10 list. So it's got the bull pennant. But things, that last 30 minutes right here, looking a little sketchy. But here's the thing. Is it possible to chase? Is it possible to FOMO in futures? It is. By no means is the claim, in futures you never FOMO. You never chase the price. No, of course you can. But here's the difference. With these small cap stocks, you can totally chase the price. You know that there's people that, that the price hit right there because somebody was willing to buy right there. Now, somebody probably nailed the top, sold right there. But there's people suffering from FOMO. I don't want to buy right there. That'd be FOMO. Oh, great. Now it's right there. Well, I definitely can't buy right there. That'd be FOMO. I definitely can't buy right there. That'd be FOMO. Definitely can't buy right. Okay, fine. All this thing does is go up. And then people just start FOMOing in. And, of course, there's people out there that FOMO'd in. And now you look at this nasty pullback. That's brutal. So yes, all this can totally occur in futures, but this is where I go back to Pam's plant and the whole argument that, yeah, you can FOMO, but when that FOMO happens and if you get just absolutely crushed, sure, getting quote unquote crushed within a prop firm world means you lose your account. Whether it's a test account or a pro account, you lose your account. That's the quote unquote getting crushed. What would it take to get crushed? Let's say you do the 100,000 purchasing power. to quote unquote get crushed and lose this account means, if you FOMO in and then it pulls back and gets nasty, maybe you average down and it keeps dipping, I'm going to buy the dip, and it just never goes back up, and it costs you $3,000. At that point, you would lose your account. But did it actually cost you $3,000 out of your pocket? It didn't. It cost you just the cost of the account, $231. And then you can always try again. You can always get another account. But the nice thing about the prop firm that I'm recommending here is that amount actually only goes to $100. So you try again for another $100. You get your account back for $100. Whereas again, SPCE, those people, again, this is not hard to believe at all. This thing was up over $6 and is now sitting down around $4 and under $5. So easily thousands of dollars have been lost on this. The people that suffered from FOMO. But the difference here is these people, when I say thousands of dollars have been lost, that's literally thousands of their dollars have been lost. So it's just. There are better ways out there to make money from fast moving things. And futures make this stuff. I get it. Whoa, this thing went from 385 up to 6. What a crazy move. This is a garbage move. It's a garbage move compared to futures. And anybody that's ever traded futures knows what I mean. You can make futures add up so quickly. Again, they will add up against you, which is why I say as a beginner, don't use your own money with futures. But to think that these things move, which they can move fast. I'm not saying they don't move fast. They don't move as fast as futures, but they do move fast. But to think people are using their own money for this stuff, crazy, inefficient way to go about day trading and even swing trading this stuff. I mean, yeah, it's definitely go big or go home. This stuff is, but a lot of people find themselves needing to swing trade this stuff because they fall under the pattern day trading rule. They say, I don't have a lot of money. I'd like to day trade, but I can't day trade because I don't have $25,000. So I'm under that pattern day trading rule. So I guess I got to swing trade stuff like this. But this goes back to Pam's plan and why the whole starting point of it is this first point right up here. There we go. When it comes to the pattern day trading rule, well, you know what? In the world of futures, there is none. So with this, you could become a day trader. Day trader being defined as buying and selling as much as you want every single day. Not the pattern day trading rule where you only get 3 day trades every 5 days. A day trade being defined as you buy and sell in the same day. Unless you have $25,000, you're only allowed to do that 3 times every 5 days within the world of stocks and options. A ridiculous government regulation. But in futures, there's no pattern day trading rule. And then when you factor in the low capital requirement of prop firms, you could literally become a day trader. Well, I guess technically speaking, Sunday evening, because the futures market open up on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern. You could be a day trader, buy and sell as much as you want for on the $105. And that gives you $25,000 in purchasing power. So just as an FYI to the person that's asking, or maybe somebody else, if you are a swing trader of those small caps for that reason, and I bet I described at least a couple of you here because I remember being there. Well, I don't want to swing trade these things, but I don't have any day trades left, or I want to save my day trade, or I don't want to, I don't want to burn my day trade here. So I'll just hold overnight. I'll just turn myself into a swing trader for the sake of it. And then I want to be fair. To be fair, sure. Sometimes you can get these moves where it gaps up and then goes, but other times in small caps, it can do the exact opposite. The company announces some sort of, filing that they're dumping shares and things just completely fall apart. So there are just better ways. So, same here. Ruben's asking about PLRZ, which is a penny stock, if I remember right. Yeah. Why? Where did you buy this thing at, Ruben? Why are you trading this? Are you trading it because you would like to be a day trader, but you just don't have enough money, so you're trying to grow your money so that you can get above that $25,000 so that you can begin to day trade as much as you want? Is that why you're doing stuff like this? But as somebody that is, asking about something that, just quite frankly, this chart clearly looks like absolute garbage. Look at this thing. Why? Please don't. So this, again, this is my point. Swing traders, day traders, whatever you want to call them, that people FOMO'd in here. That people were buying the dip here, buying the dip there, buying the dip there, buying the dip there, buying the dip there. Now look where this thing is at, all the way down here. Again, can bad things happen in futures? Yes, they can happen. My point is, this is all occurring with people's real money. In the world of futures through the prop firm, yes, you lose your account, but you've only actually lost $100 or so out of your pocket. These people are potentially have lost their entire account. But goodness, I forgot how nasty this thing looked. So I'm not trying to pick on you, Ruben, but like out of my pure curiosity's sake, why? Why are you choosing to just even be involved in something like this? Why? Enlighten me, Ruben. Yeah, that's me. Okay, so fair enough, Ruben. You said, yeah, that's me. Do you mean that in regards to you just don't have a lot of money? You'd like to be a day trader, but you don't have enough money to be a day trader, so you got to trade this sort of stuff to try to grow your account? Is that you, Ruben? Okay. Well, how much money do you have in your account, Ruben? I know it's kind of personal, but I got to know. I don't want to send you down a path where that's not actually possible. But how much money do you have? And there's no shame. There's no shame. Like we all start off with, so a few hundred. Okay, well, right here, Ruben, is what I'm talking about. And maybe you heard me say all this, but if you have $105, you could literally put yourself in a legitimate market. The futures market is a legitimate market that moves better than what you're looking at anyways. It moves better. It's a legitimate market, and you can day trade. You can buy and sell, buy and sell, buy and sell as much as you want every single day, and it would just take you $105. So there you go, Ruben. Pam's plant is the good news for you today. As somebody that doesn't have a whole lot, would like to be a day trader, would like to try to avoid the garbage world of the kind of the penny stocks that you're looking at. Again, I understand why, given your context, but here you go. Here you go. Check out the link that's on the top of the screen, or just go to the click on the link that's in the message that's pinned. And make sure, if you want to support the channel, to use code Clay, but that'll also give you the discounts that are available. So there you go. There you go, Ruben. You just, hopefully I've brightened your day here a little bit for you now to know that it is actually possible for you to be a day trader with only a few $100s. Thoughts on Moody downgrade? Yeah, we talked about that at the very beginning. And we'll see. As we were talking about, just looking at the markets, I mean, you can tell right when that news came out. So, yes, there is, basically a bear pennant here. Very bootleg looking, drawn one. But, yeah, Sunday evening is going to be very, very interesting. Personally, I don't think it'll be as bad as what maybe some people are thinking. But I could be totally wrong. Yes, you did. Thanks. All right, Ruben. Good, good. Happy to help. Made $2,300 on like 6 points on an eval Thursday. Nice job. Good job. It's the walk, yeah. And for anybody reading that, $2,300, I'm telling you, futures add up quick. If you are looking for movement, futures are where it's at. Yeah, Clay, but I trade low float, small caps. I'm telling you, futures will have you looking at those situations and be like, man, why was I ever wasting my time with those? Because I know small caps are very popular. There's some popular traders out there, and they just, I won't go into that rabbit hole, but let's go back and look at what can also happen with these small cap situations. So right here we have LOBO, small cap from this past week. Halts are a very real thing. So with small cap, and again, keep in mind, this is all occurring with your money. All of your money is at risk when these sorts of shenanigans are happening. But price is booming, price pulls back. Some people are like, all right, let me buy this pullback. The stock then halts, meaning it stops trading, meaning you have all power removed from you. This is just, it's such a ridiculous rule again. But the stock halts. When it starts to trade again, it starts all the way down here. So you bought right there. And to be fair to you, maybe you're trying to be disciplined. Maybe you have a stop loss, let's just say right here. And then it opens up all the way down there. Well, your stop loss doesn't matter anymore. It opened up all the way down there. And then think about it. Maybe somebody else is like, all right, well, I'm going to buy that dip right there. And I'm responsible, so I'm going to put my stop loss right there. It then halts again. Again, a halt being it literally stops trading. And then when it starts trading again, well, the price opens up all the way down there. And so, I mean, you can get roasted. Yes, sure, I get it. I understand. Well, what happens if you buy right there and then you're able to sell right there? Okay, a good move. You can still get better moves in futures, but, a good move. But yeah, then what happens if you're the person that after you buy, you're like, all right, let me buy the dip right there. Well, then buy all your gains you just had. So that's another thing that, A lot of people either they leave out or they make it seem like there's some sort of like game or rhyme or reason behind it all. And it's like, no, why would you ever put yourself in situations where you could get stuck in halts and it's all with your own money? I mean, halts don't even happen in futures. I mean, they could happen in like a rare, like 99.9% of the time, they're not happening. But if like there's some sort of like epic macro news, like we get attacked by aliens, the futures would probably pause because there'd be a big gap down or something like that. But yes, it's very, very, very rare. So for, I mean, argument's sake, basically futures don't ever get halted. But like, that's not, and anybody here, please chime in. If you have experience with small caps or, low floats, and I have experience too. Like, I've been stuck in halts. There's nothing more miserable than stuck in a halt because you literally, your hands are tied. There's nothing you can do. If that thing opens up way lower than where you got in, yeah, sorry. So it's just, but like I said, even if those did occur in futures, at least in futures, if like you bought a future right there and then you got roasted because it opened up way down there. Again, in a prop firm, okay, you're out $100 or so. But these people, I mean, people got absolutely roasted. Like their trading journey is over. Because if they just started with a couple $1,000s and that happened, I mean, that could easily have been, I don't know about a $2,000 loss, but I mean, why couldn't that? That could have easily been, a $1,500 loss. So now they have $500 left, and all it takes is one more, and boof, they're at zero, and their journey's over. Option aren't pricing in a drop. Well, I don't think you can tell anything from options change right now, can you, CJ Mac? I mean, it's the weekend. That stuff's all closed. It's rigged, looking for dumb money. No, nothing's rigged. I mean, the only thing that is rigged is the general market itself to go up. That's the only conspiracy theory I have. Like, if you want to play the rigged market, buy like the SPY and then check back 40 years from now. Because yes, sure, markets have big pullbacks and this, that, and the other. But the Federal Reserve, the government steps in and they start pumping money when they need to. Because the greatest way for the country to lose control would be for everybody to lose all their money. And how do people lose all their money? When their retirement savings go to nothing. And that's how you get pure chaos. And politicians don't want pure chaos. They kind of like their position. So yes, the markets are rigged to drift upwards over time. But yeah, all this stuff, well, I don't want to go too far down the deep rabbit hole. But yeah, penny stocks can be rigged in the sense of the company is just waiting to start to dump a bunch of shares. But not rigged in the sense of like, the market makers, nothing like that. Hey, can we get 2 more or 3 more likes for the JJ effect? Let's a Saturday morning that pushes up over 50 likes is always a good thing. What time do you start trading during weekdays? I like to trade the open. Sometimes I trade a little bit earlier. So yeah, I like the right around 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Futures is about the notional value. I mean, Q1 contract is worth 43. Yeah. Okay. Guitars and Adam is geeking out with the math. I love it. But yes, you can get very good leverage within futures. Go short when aliens attack. Exactly. What do you mean when you talk about futures? I mean, it's a thing you can trade called the futures market. So like this is the futures right here. And you could, they move better than, now one thing that a lot of people do say is, yeah, Clay, but I don't want to have to learn about futures. So Mikey Dust, what do you trade right now, Mikey Dust Blade? I moved from 5 years of day trading stock options to futures almost 2 months ago, and I wish I transitioned to futures earlier. Yeah, exactly. Yep, it's the walk. He's one of our first people since I started the live stream that used to day trade options, but he was open-minded enough to his credit to be like, all right, I'm gonna give this a go. This person is saying what I'm doing isn't exactly the smartest way to go about it, so let me try futures. He went and tried it, and now he's sitting here saying he wish he would have moved over, months and months ago. Just learning right now before I start to trade. Okay. Well, how much money? Well, what do you want to do, Mikey Dustblade? How much money do you have, and what do you want to do? Like, do you want to be a day trader? Day trader being defined as you buy and sell stuff in the same day, and you do that multiple times every single day. Big institutions can see the stop or no, yeah, I'm not into that. I don't play. I'm firmly against the stock market hunting. Firmly against that. That is all built on confirmation bias. But I really don't feel like going down that rabbit hole. But yeah, I will have to respectfully disagree on the whole idea of stop hunting. Going to start with 500. Okay, good. And see how it goes. Yes. So just even because you have 500. So right off the get-go, if you want to be a day trader, you're not going to be allowed to be a day trader in options or stocks because you do not have $25,000. There's something called the pattern day trader rule, and they will just they won't allow you to day trade stocks and options. Well, they will, but they give you 3 day trades every 5 days, which by definition, you can't be a day trader with that set of rules. But with futures, there is 0 pattern day trader rule. So you can buy and sell every single day. And with 500, assuming you do Pam's plant, which it sounds like you already want to do futures. So this part is the argument for why you should do futures. And then right here is the argument for why you should do it through a prop firm. But the L here of low capital required, you're starting with 500. So you could you could get started, no problem. Right here for the 105. And you could burn, basically you could burn 5 test accounts, and I'd imagine you'd get a whole lot of learning with 5 different test accounts with multiple trades. But if you do even if you're just doing stocks or whatever on your own with $500, that $500 poof could be gone just like that in one trade, and you're like, wow. The only thing I think I learned was that things move quick, but man, I'm already out of money. But with the futures, yeah, poof, you'll lose the account. But did you actually lose your entire $500? No, you would have just lost the $105. So yes, futures are just something that moves around. It's just like a stock, except it's futures. They're called contracts, but very easy to, because I know some people are intimidated. I don't want to learn futures. So for anybody out there that fits that category, all I will say is if you already use charts, then the only difference for you is instead of using charts to trade stocks, for example, you're now using charts to trade futures. So if you know charts, you're 97% of the way there. And then here's the other 3%. If you can do this math, then you can trade charts. So the distance from this point right here, 20,280, up to here, 20,340. That distance right there, if my math is right, is 60. Okay. So this is the math of futures that you'd have to understand. So in futures, this is called 60 points. Things don't move in dollars and cents. They just move in points. So that's 60 points. So if you were trading the the NQ, for example, 1 point equals $20. And that's all per contract. So if you do the NQ, which is basically you're trading the NASDAQ market. That's all you're doing. You're trading the NASDAQ market. So on the NQ, 1 point equals $20. And we just said that this distance here is 60 points. So how much would that have been worth if you had bought one contract and then, you bought the contract at that blue line and sold the contract at that blue line? Well, you would have made in trader jargon futures, hey, I just made 60 points. Well, how does that translate to money? Well, we have the numbers right here to make that translation. So we just said that you made 60 points, and we just said that each point is worth $20, so we got to multiply that by 20. So right there, that is a $1,200 potential move per contract. Now, if you were hopping in with a prop firm, then the bare minimum you could get here, with all the purchasing power is $25,000, and that $25,000, which again, for $105, you could have bought up to 3 of those contracts. So what we now can do is instead of, because this was just per contract, right? And had you had 3 of those, well, we have to multiply this actually by 3 times 3. So that's $3,600 that this movement here could have been. So in other words, for $105, you could have gotten access to a movement of $3,600. But point being, that's how the math of futures works. So if you already use charts, great. You're 97% of the way there to understanding futures. And we just covered the other 3% here. That is how the math works. How many points is something, and then you just need to know what a point is worth, and there you go. The math is very, very easy. So there's your quick futures lesson. It's not an idea. You can watch it live on the chart. How do the prop firms deal with a loss? I'm not sure what you mean by that. It's the same thing as day trading ETFs. You just get massive leverage. It's not the same thing for the reason here. The math is a little different. SPY and QQQ move in dollars and cents. Futures just move in points. So as long as you know what 1 point is worth, then the math is very easy to do from there. So does that make sense, Mikey Dustblade? About, there's your futures thing right there. That's how you calculate it. Now, of course, the platform itself is going to calculate your dollars and is going to, calculate your profit and loss for you anyways. But if you're trying to plan a trade and you're like, okay, if I'm risking 10 points here, then you know that, well, if 1 point is $20 and I'm risking 10 of them, then that's it. Okay, I'm going to take a $200 risk per contract. So if you're just doing one contract and you know you're risking 10 points, well, you know your risk is $200. Very, very easy mental math. The way the prop firms deal with a loss is if you are in a trade that is going to be a giant loser, it's going to exit you out of the trade automatically when you hit. Correct, Zurbad. I'm not sure if that's what he was necessarily asking, but if so, well done. You answered it perfectly. Man, I can't wait till this cough moves on. So for those of you that are live stream, normies are on the live stream. Been talking about sickness, and a new round of sickness showed up. My oldest daughter, and then our fourth. I have 6 kids, so I got to think. Like, it takes me a while. Our oldest and then our fourth started throwing up last night through the night, and now Faye threw up again this morning. Joy's finally feeling better, but so apparently the sickness has not made its way through. It's showing up in another form right now. How much is 1 point on the MNQ? So Rob, So this is how great futures are. $1 point MNQ worth. Right there. See how fast? So whatever you're trading, that's how fast it is to figure that out. So Rob just asked. There it is. 1 point is $2. Simple as, I guess right up there too. So 1 MNQ is worth $2. So that's why I say to start with the MNQ, because it's a much smaller scale. 1 MNQ. What in the world happened? 1 MNQ equals $2 per point. Where it's big brother, the NQ, 1 point equals $20. So yes, the gains can add up in a hurry, but that is a two-sided coin. So that's why I say start with MNQ. Now, if you're like $2 per point, well, that again, that's per contract. So you can manipulate that, and that's another reason why futures are great. The flexibility that you can, they give you, because you can manipulate that, because on this right here, so again, the bare bones, you could go up to 30 of those. The ones that only move $2 per point, you could take 30 of them if you wanted. So, like I said, if one contract at 2 points per point is like, okay, that's not really adding up that's not adding up enough for me. Okay, well then how do you feel about 5 points? Or how do you feel about 5 contracts? Okay, well then maybe you got to move it up to, I don't know, 7, 8, 9. But the flexibility is all there. And I do understand the argument of, well, yeah, Clay, but there's flexibility in stocks too. You can always just buy more shares to increase your position size so you get your P&L to move more. And that is true, but the difference here is in order to buy more stock, well, you have more money in your account to do that. That actually requires additional money. Here it doesn't require anything. It's that one-time payment of 105, and for every trade, you could start at, like I said, 1 micro and work your way all the way up to 30 at no extra charge. It's still just, there's no more money required out of your pocket. It was just that 105. And I should note that the per month, this is only during the test phase. So once you move from the test into the pro, there is $0 monthly fees. And people ask, well, how long do I have to pass my test? You can take as long as you want. I just recommend you get it done within a month so that you do not have to pay this fee again. But Clay, so for this one, I have to be able to make $1,500. I've never made $1,500 in a month. Like I said, you're just going to have to trust me or other people in the chat room. Maybe that seems crazy to you, but futures move. I'm telling you, they move. $1,500 in a month is very, very reasonable given the context of futures and how they do move. Yes, I appreciate it. When you talk about learning charts, is there a link? I'll send you this, and you can do with it what you want. I do have this program that I offer, Mikey. Starts at ground zero and builds from there. So like I said, do what you will with it. But that's if you want to learn charts, at least learn charts from me. That is what I offer. That'll take you through every nook and cranny of it. In other words, you can't try holding a loser for. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Prop firms will make you behave wisely. If you are a hold and hope trader because you refuse to cut losses, then yeah, a prop firm is going to expose that. You will fail the test for sure. But guess what? Holding and hoping is not ever going to make you successful. So that's one of those things where I argue those rules are a benefit. They are actually risk control because they force you to focus on risk. Holding and hoping is just not that you're never going to become a successful trader by holding and hoping. And if you try to hold and hope in the prop firm world, yeah, you're going to fail. You're never going to get a funded account, and you're just never going to pass. But if you do that with your real money, you're just going to lose all your money in a hurry and be done with it, and your journey ends regardless. So yeah, some people complain, I don't like all the rules that prop firms have. Well, first off, if you do it with the right prop firm, there's not a ton of rules. But even the ones that do have rules, they're good rules. Because they're forcing you to focus on risk management, risk control. They're forcing you to break bad habits such as hold and hope. No. That's what I was going to say degenerates don't. But that's what non-serious traders do. And I've been there. I've held and hoped. But yeah, sorry. You got to learn how to cut the losses. That's part of trading. Doesn't make you a bad trader if you take a loss. That makes you a responsible trader. It means you're trying to manage risk. That's the name of the game. What type of futures are popular to trade? I would say start with MNQ. And that's the other nice thing about futures is you just trade the same thing every single day. So right here, if you're in small caps or meme coins or whatever, you got to scan. But here you don't. You get to save time and money. Some people I know charge for and you pay for scanners. But in futures, you choose maybe you trade two different types of contracts. But besides that, that's it. There's no need to scan. You know what you're going to trade every day, and you show up and you trade that every single morning. I say this jokingly, but if I wanted to, I could literally roll out of bed 2 minutes before I feel like trading, sit down at my computer, and I already know what I'm going to trade without looking at a single scanner, even thinking about a scanner. Because, Ross, that's what's nice. You find one, and you just go with it. And that's the one that I mentioned earlier was the MNQ. That's what I would say to start with. Maybe some people would say the MES, and I wouldn't push back against that. The NQ is the NASDAQ. The ES is the S&P 500. But make sure they have the M in front of them because those are the ones that are going to be moving slower. So you want the slower movement, but once you get your feet wet, then yeah, maybe you do the NQ and then just the ES because you can get rid of the ones with the M. The M's, they invented those 5 or 6 years ago. A great invention. They're called the micros. It was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. Great addition to the futures market. Very good addition. Because when I got started, if I would have jumped into futures, which I didn't, I would have jumped right into NQ. And man, that would have eaten my lunch. So the invention of the micros was a very, very big game changer in all actuality. What's the best way to buy and sell dip? Okay, again, Paul, good question, but that's well outside of the scope of this. So, if you want to, I'll link this to you too. Take it what you will, but stuff like that is, a good question, and maybe in your mind there should be a simple answer, but there's not because there's lots of pieces that go into that puzzle. Hey, thanks a lot on the likes. I haven't even been asking, but they still keep creeping up. But yeah, if you're enjoying, if you're learning something, if you're like, okay, wow, maybe I've just given you some really good news. Ruben earlier, somebody that thought he was trapped in the world of penny stocks because he didn't have a whole lot of money. He wanted to be a day trader, and then he learned about Pam's plant. So I don't know if Pam's plant has kind of brightened your day because you're like, wait a second, I can be a day trader. And I can day trade something that actually moves smoother than these small caps or penny stocks or meme coin garbage that I've been trading. Like, wow, wait, what? Yeah, so if that's you, it's a good feeling to know that you're kind of shining a ray of light. And then it's even better if you use code Clay, then yeah, you support the channel. I make a few extra bucks, which is nice, and I appreciate it. But don't you need larger margin for it? No. Peace in. All you need is this. That's the thing is, well, how does the math work with margins and all this sort of stuff? With a prop firm, they make it easy. They tell you right up front. They tell you what you can get. So for 50K in purchasing power, and this is just per trade, you could get up to 6 of the very volatile contracts or 60 of the less volatile ones. Now that's not per day, that's per trade. So you can make 1 million trades in a single day if you want, and each one of those trades, you could go as high as 6 of the very volatile or 60 of the less volatile. So that's just how the math works. You don't have to think about the margin and what's this and what's that. You don't have to go down that rabbit hole. They just tell you right up front what each purchasing power would allow you to get. Clay, when I look at futures chart on Webull, well, which futures are you looking at, David? And why are you not on Tradeovate or something like that? So 2-part question for you. Is your program for beginners? Yes. It starts off assuming you know nothing, peace in, and then it gets more and more advanced from that. New. Well, which futures are you looking at, David? Yeah, if you're looking at orange juice futures may not have a whole lot of movement. Learn about liquidity, knowing potential. Alfred, good morning. How much is different NQ Trade Station and prop firms? How much different? Trade Station, the platform. I don't know. I've never used Trade Station, Alfred, so I can't really comment on that. But all platforms, sure, they have their little different nooks and crannies, but for the most part, they're the same. So I had to learn a new platform after I moved into futures. I use Tradeovate, but I mean, it hasn't been anything crazy. Hi, everyone. So it's Island Reversal Monday, not Friday as I thought. Anyways, looking like shorting is... So it's Island Reversal. Yeah, you were talking about that. I don't know what you're talking about, Alexander, when you're talking about Island Reversal. But it looks like are you one of these guys that's like, go short? Okay, no, go short. Okay, now go short. And then after the 87th time of saying go short, it finally goes down, and you're like, see, I told you. Are you one of those guys, Alexander? Are you just going to say it's Island Reversal Monday, or first it was Island Reversal Friday, and now you're thinking, no, it's Island Reversal Monday. But if it doesn't happen on Monday, Alexander, are you going to be here telling us it's Island Reversal Tuesday? And then when it finally happens, even if it's, 47 weeks from now, are you going to be that guy that's like, see, I told you so. I told you so. Is that you, Alexander? Are you one of those guys? Thank you, Peace. And yeah, and like I said, use code Clay at checkout if you want to help support the channel. And while using code Clay does give you the discount too, which is 30% off. So here's the baked-in thing that a lot of people don't even realize. So yes, you get the 30% off, but all prop firms, they have some sort of function of this. How they structure it and word it is going to be different. But when you go from your test into your pro, they have what's something called an activation fee. So you have to activate your pro account or your funded account, whatever they call it. And with Take Profit Trader, that's $130 normally. But with the current promotion, again, if you want to get the promotion with code Clay, this right now is not only that 30% off, but this is $0, which is actually an amazing good deal. So quite literally, your all-in risk could be $105. Because you do this for your test, you pass the test, and with the $0 activation, you're still all-in cost. Your all-in risk is $105. And then if you go on a run and you get them, to pay you $5,000 before you finally lose your account, Hey, that's a pretty good return. David, I'd like to help you. All right, at least Alexander admits it. He's one of those guys. He'll keep calling for island reversals until it happens, and then he'll be back to say, see, I told you so. EQ, I think you mean ES, NQ, and move just like the index. Correct, yeah, exactly. Guitars and Atom is, yeah, absolutely. There is plenty of volume in futures. Like, now, if you're like Elon Musk, like, listen, I'm here to trade with 1,000 NQ contracts per trade. Okay, that may be a little bit harder to get in and out of situations, but like for us mere mortals, liquidity is not a problem at all. I thought you had already done futures, David. I recognize your name. I thought I'd already gone down this pathway. Definitely will use your code. Well, thank you, PSN. Michael Burry has predicted 20 of the last. Yup. The thing is, though, if you manage your risk right, all it takes is predicting 2 of them, and you'd be just fine. E. Barnar. Been at this for over 10 years now, and your videos were very helpful to those beginning years. Hey, I'm glad to have played a small little role in your journey. Well, hopefully I'll see you back for some more. You know what? This started off as a really, I'll be brutally honest right now. I didn't think this live stream, how long is your code going for? For as long as the deal goes for. But yeah, the stream started off, it was brutal. Like, I didn't think we were going to make it 30 minutes. And not a whole lot of interaction. And to be fair, some people are like, I don't know, maybe it's like, kids are at, parents are at soccer games. It's that time of year, baseball games. And I thought, oh, okay. But yeah, this has turned out to be, this has been a really good one. We're at 68 likes. If you have not hit the like button yet, hit that like button. But yeah, this turned out to be a really good crowd. Good discussion, good questions, people being open-minded and like, wait a second. It's always a good sign if somebody can say to you, hey, you're doing something that is inefficient. And instead of getting all offended, like, what? No, I would never do it. You're like, oh, really? Can you tell me more? I'd like to be efficient. That's like the crowd that's here today. Very open-minded. Like, there's nobody with like a massive ego that they're trying to protect. You're stuck on QBTS. What do you mean you're stuck? They won't let you sell, David? Your broker's not allowing you to cut your loss. We may have a news situation here, David. We may have a lawsuit brewing on our hands. You may be able to get rich here. Get a lawyer and be like, my broker is not allowing me to cut my loss. My broker will not allow me to display risk management. What do you mean you're stuck? You mean you refuse to cut the loss? Is that what is that the translation, David? Where did you buy? Okay, I'm going to wait till... Why Friday? What's Friday, Luis? Where did you buy? How are you even... How can you be stuck on this thing? It's at highs. What are you... Yeah, where did you... You said you're stuck on this. How are you stuck? There's no way you could be stuck. I'm going to try... Oh, so you're no longer stuck on QBTS is what you're saying, David. You used to be stuck on it. I live stream every day starting at 11 a.m. Eastern. And then I do the Saturday morning thing. This one, yeah, I'm very enthused right now. This has been a great crowd. We might even hit 100 likes, which would be really good for a Saturday. I think this is like my 6th Saturday one I've done. I don't know if we'll hit 100 likes, but if we do, that would be just epically. Okay, all right, David. Well, good. There you go. So... David is David, I guess I can't say I promise, but I am very, 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 very confident that once you try day trading futures, you'll be like everybody else that has tried them and been like, wow, they are way better than the options that I used to trade, or they're way better than the stocks I used to trade, or it's way better than the meme coins I used to trade. Ebinar, oh nice, Ebinar, you did robotic trading back in the day. Well, good. I'm glad to have, and I'm glad you invested in your education too. That's good. That's good. I appreciate that. Might look into membership program. Well, yeah, would love to have you join the membership program. I'm assuming you mean mine, David. Would love to have you join. If you're looking to learn from the ground up, that's what my program will do. Starts off, you're assuming you know nothing, and then it builds from there. All right, I think I'm all caught up on messages. So again, I am taking requests. If you have a stock, a future, a crypto, forex pairing that you'd like for me to take a look at a chart on, or if you have a question about trading, question about prop firm, question about prop firm strategy, question about futures, because this is mainly a futures day trading, live stream. But on Saturdays, I just kind of open it up to whatever. Can you start trading futures with $1,000? Yes, you can, Jerf, but I would not recommend starting futures with $1,000 because that would be all $1,000 at risk of your money at risk. And because futures move very quickly, I would argue for the plan here with this prop firm power because that will give you a risk control via protecting your own money. So I would hate to know that all $1,000 is at risk. Whereas if you did a prop firm, the way it would work is... So let's just say this. So you have that $1,000. Now, if you go and trade futures on your own, that's fine. But I'm telling you, they move very quickly. And that $1,000 in a couple of trades, you could lose $1,000. So at that point, your journey is over. That $1,000 is gone. But if you go with Pam's plant, you have $1,000. And now you do the prop firm, well, to get involved, at least with the 25K purchasing power, it would cost you 105. So let's subtract out 105. So now you have your prop firm account, and this sets you on a pathway where if you prove yourself, you move into the pro account, you can start to make money and get paid. But as of now, you still have $895. But let's say you go and you have some tough learning lessons, you do something stupid, but I don't know, you have a whoops, that was bad, but I learned a lot. You have one of those moments. So sure, that moment within the prop firm world cost you $1,500, but it didn't cost you $1,500 of your money. It only cost you the cost of the account, which was $105. But with this, you can get another account and try again for $100. So we'll subtract out $100 from your money. So now you still have $795, but you get another account. You can try the journey again. For whatever reason, you do something stupid and you lose that one. Okay. Now you still have $695, but you got a new account. All right, you do something stupid again, or I don't know, you learn something valuable, but you do something stupid, you lose that one. So let's subtract out 100. And I don't know. Now this time you go and tilt in your revenge trade. So that's another blown up account. You try again, minus 100. You then go and, I don't know, something stupid, minus 100. Do something stupid again, minus 100. But then after all these attempts, you find a little bit of a groove. You pass the test, you get into the pro account, and then let's just say you make $1,500 before you then again, maybe you break a rule, so you lose your pro account. But you don't lose your pro account until you made $1,500 that they send to your bank account. Well, now we need a plus 1,500, and wouldn't you know it, after all those failed dumb moves and mistakes and learning lessons, after failed test after failed test after failed test, you finally found yourself a hot streak, and now you're at $1,795 where you started with $1,000. Whereas if you start futures with just $1,000 of your money, because they move quickly, that entire $1,000 could be gone just like that, and your journey's over. But with the prop firm, while a prop firm does not guarantee that you'll ever make any money, it does, if I did my job right illustrating here, it does at least give you more time. It gives you more opportunity to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. So, yes, you can totally get started with $1,000. And $1,000 could actually give you a whole lot of learning opportunities within the prop firm setting. So it's like trading on margin without having to pay it back. Correct, yes. And so on that note, maybe you're saying, wait a second, that seems very sketchy. How can a company allow you to just give them $105 and then let you go lose $1,500 of their money? Because during the test phase, this is all occurring within a simulator. So no money is actually being lost. So on the flip side, I've had some people like, well, what a scam. So you're telling me that during the test phase, you're going to make them $1,500, but then you don't get to keep any of it? All you get is your pro account? That's all you get is a pro account? Well, no, because again, it's not $1,500 has not actually been made because this is all happening in a simulator environment. But yes, Jerf, that's kind of what it's like. It's like that. You have very minimal, and I don't know if Nathan's still here, but Nathan, I always like his story because it really illustrates things. He had an account that he had $130 for. He passed the test, went to the pro account. He then made $9,700. And then eventually he did break a rule, so they took the account away from him. But they took it away from him after he had already requested and gotten paid $9,700. So he invested $130. That was his risk the entire time to make $9,700. That's a pretty good return on investment. Because again, just because you get into the pro accounts, if you still do violate the rules or you lose your mind or you get stuck in a crazy move, they will take those accounts away from you too. But once you're in those pro accounts, like I said, in Nathan's situation, he did eventually lose this account, but not before he got this account to pay him $9,700 when his all-in cost was $130. Can I trade futures in a Roth IRA? No. Do not trade futures with your retirement funds because of this. Trust me, you don't want to be going on tilt in futures market or all of a sudden you start averaging down because you just lose your mind in the futures market with your own money, not to mention that money's in your IRA. No, terrible idea. Terrible idea. Trade futures in a prop firm. Goodness, you're going to give me a heart attack with questions like that. Tyler, what are you what's holding you back from just doing that for $105? Like, why do you want to do it in your IRA? Honest question, Tyler. What is you so skeptical that you're not like, no. I'd rather just let me see if I can do it in my IRA. Sky Heaven, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Sky Heaven's comment there. Think of it as you can rent $25K for $105 a month to make. Yeah, but again, even the month, this is only during the test phase. After you've passed the test, so once you go from the test to the pro, then that monthly fee goes away. So that's why I always recommend to pass within a month. No, that it's still totally imbalanced. Because if you lose all that money, Tyler, because you go on tilt and you take a $30,000 loss, which is totally possible in futures if you have that sort of money. Yeah, who cares about your taxes? You just lost $30,000. You see, your problem, Tyler, is you're focused on making money. You're focused on literally the wrong thing. Okay, well, if I make all this money, then I'm not to pay tax. No. How about you just focus on risk management, your downside? Because that's the one thing that people have kind of thrown. Well, yeah, Clay, but if I use my own money, then I don't. Because once you get to the pro accounts, with the pro account, you keep 80% of your wins. Pro Plus, you get to keep 90% of what you make. But some are like, well, Clay, I'm going to use my own money so I get to keep 100% of my gains. So question to all of you. If you are in that situation where you get to keep 100% of your gains, you also get to keep 100% of something else. Can anybody guess what this something else is? Again, if you're making the argument, I want to use my own money because I get to keep 100% of my gains. Okay, you also, that person gets to keep 100% of something else. What is that something else? Nope, not that, TJP. There you go. Tyler, yeah, he's connecting them dots. Very good, Tyler. You are focused on. All right. Good, Jesse. Yeah, you also get to keep 100% of the risk. All those losses, they're all yours too. So I reject the premise. I don't think it's a very good argument. Well, I'm gonna. In other words, you could look at this as an insurance policy. You're paying 20% in this account or the Pro Plus. You're paying 10% for that fire insurance, if we'll call it that, right? That car crash insurance. Because if you have just one of those days where you lose your mind, we've all had bad days. As far as I'm aware, all traders still break rules from time to time. To have that insurance in place, I think is worth the 20% or the 10%. Do you have any opinion on the CME traded cryptos like MBT compared to cryptos offered? Yeah, I just personally, Rick, my opinion is you're when it comes to day trading, totally wasting your time with cryptos. There are better assets to trade from a day trading category. So I'm not sure, Rick, if you're totally in the day trading category, but day trading category, there's a very straightforward path that that I argue for here, that is mathematically provable, and that would be to just day trade futures through a prop firm. And when the futures, I would not say go trade any sort of crypto futures. I mean, I guess you can if you want, but if you want just smooth moving futures, then the MNQ is where it's at. As a reminder, hit that like button if you have not yet. Hitting that like button is a good piece of data for these live streams. But yes, correct. You get to keep all those losses. Can you sign up for Take Profit Trader 24 hour? Yes, they're open around the clock. Peace in. How are the rules? Yeah, if you're a beginner to the world of prop firms, avoid Apex, okay? Apex, they're not a scam. I actually, if you are an advanced trader or anything like that and you within the prop firm world, then yeah, code Clay. So in fact, right here. So that's my thoughts, because a lot of people do ask, because Apex is kind of like, they're up there, but Apex oftentimes gets called a scam. And I want to defend them, because the reason why so many people call them a scam is because they're very complicated. And if you're a beginner prop firm trader, Apex Trader is probably going to come across as a scam, because they have all sorts of rules. The rules are pretty complicated. So that's why I say if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, Take Profit Trader is for everybody, especially beginners. But I'm telling you right now, if you hop into Apex Trader, again, I don't have anything against them. If you're intermediate or advanced, they pay. They have a track record of paying, all that. But as a beginner, you're going to be totally overwhelmed. And if you want, the smoothest transition into both futures and the prop firm world, Take Profit Trader is just, they're better anyways because they have the better payment policy. So Take Profit Trader, so some prop firms, when you make money, so let's just say you make $5,000, some prop firms are going to be like, well, yeah, you made $5,000, but you can't request any money until 2 weeks from now. And 2 weeks from now, yeah, we know you made $5,000, but you can only request $2,000. Now, again, they'll pay you everything, but it's a long, drawn-out process. With Take Profit Trader, as soon as you pass the test, which is a 5-day minimum, but on day number 6, you could start to request money whenever you want it and in whatever amount. In fact, you could request money every single day in whatever amount. So that sort of flexibility, I think, just makes Take Profit Trader the best prop firm out there. So that's why, and plus they have a much smoother, clearer rule set book. But yeah, I don't have anything against Apex per se, assuming you are an intermediate or advanced prop firm trader. But if you're just starting off, don't go with Apex. You're going to be overwhelmed, and it's just not going to be a pleasant experience. Good morning, Clay. Is it, in your expert opinion, you think home prices will only go up from here? Home prices. I'm a real estate investor, but I'll be brutally honest. I'm a very bad real estate investor. I bought a cottage, and I was like, all right, and this was back in, 2017. And I was like, all right, I'm pretty sure I'm buying the top here, but oh well. If I get, if it pulls back and hey, our family will have fun here. We're gonna have fun on the, living the lake life. But no, that the market kept going up. I made money on that one. Then I bought some, it was like I bought 320 acres in northern Michigan. I was like, oh boy, I'm buying the top here. But you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Because we're going to have a bunch of fun on 300 acres. We're going to go play, make memories. It'll be a great time. And it was a great time. But I did just fine on that one. So moral of the story, I keep thinking that prices are going to go down, and every time I make a real estate purchase, I'm like, all right, make sure you really like this because odds are you're probably buying the top, and they just keep going up. And as long as, well, in all actuality, they need to, and they're starting to level out. So home prices are starting to level out. That's why I just hope that they keep interest rates where they are. If not even, I think they should raise interest rates more. Because yes, with higher interest rates, it does become more expensive to buy a house. But when you have less people that can start to be able to buy, well, then you have less buyers, and you have less buyers. You don't have bidding wars anymore. And when there's no bidding wars, it starts to become a buyer's market because you would demand like, hey, I'm a buyer and I literally can only afford this. And you get enough people saying I literally can only afford this. Guess what sellers have to do? They got to start to come down to meet you. But if the Federal Reserve just cuts interest rates to create more buyers, well, now all of a sudden you got to compete against all these people. So what do the sellers get to do? Whoa, I got all this interest. I got all these people wanting, all right, well, up my house price goes. And then now all of a sudden, now I got to pay. I can't afford the house. The house price keep going up. No. So at least around me, houses are sitting on the market longer. And that is a good thing because that is buyers' way of saying, yeah, I just can't afford that. Interest rates are too high. I can't afford it. So either you're not going to sell it or you're going to come down to my price. So that's why I think they should raise interest rates some more. Again, yes, it'll make it quote unquote more expensive. But you know what that does? That knocks people out of the market. Let me take it back. It doesn't knock them out of the market. It knocks them down. It's like, okay, well, I can only afford it at this price. And when there's no bidding wars and it becomes a buyer's market, then prices start to come down and they meet those levels. Which is why I don't think there would ever be a housing crash per se, because I think there's a bunch of, if we use trading jargon, there's a bunch of buyers at certain bid levels, and they're just now having to wait because they can't afford it up here, but they're sitting on the bid. So right now, a lot of houses out there, they're sitting on the offer, but eventually they're going to have to hit the bid. So, but full disclosure, I've made a lot of money in real estate, but the deals I keep making money on, I'm pretty sure this is not going to be the win here. But the market continues to keep on, moving upwards. But, so I do think home prices will start to come down. And, yeah. But the government could expedite that process more if they would raise interest rates. Let's see. Good deal. Again, I know I'm delayed, but I'm trying not to skip over any message. So if you have something that you want me to get to for sure and get to right away, $5 super chats, make that happen. But if you're cool just waiting, then I'll eventually get to it. I think I'll do my best. Basically, I'm not that guy. Basically, I'm not just that guy during Thursday session. Many defensive sectors were up. I was waiting for something. All right. Well, I'm not sure. You seem to be like, Alexander. You seem to be doing more like fundamental analysis. Like when you start talking about what sectors are up and all this sort of stuff, it's like I don't care. Like I'm a day trader. I'm looking at the MNQ and I'm just trying to think about what's happening in the next couple minutes. Again, I'm not saying that you're wrong to do any of that, Alexander. I'm saying that just it seems like we're different types of traders. Because when you start talking about sectors and all this sort of stuff, my eyes are going to glaze over like, yeah, I don't care about that sort of stuff. If you start talking like cash flow statements, I'm like, yeah, I'm a day trader. I don't care about a cash flow statement. But that's just me. That's not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying those are the things that would kind of cause my eyes to gloss on over. I think you need some crazy level of initial margin to trade crypto futures. Yeah, maybe so, but that's overcomplicating the picture, Prop firms are like casino. They don't stay in business if everyone wins. Yeah, prop firms make money because they assume most people are degenerates. Which futures contracts do you recommend for beginners? MNQ. MNQ. And then once you get your feet wet and feel comfortable with that, then you can try the NQ. Do not start on the NQ. Gotta go. See you Monday, 11 a.m. Sounds good. Peace in. Yeah, again, TJP, like I was saying, I don't have anything against Apex other than if you're a beginner trader. don't go with them if you're a beginner trader. You're going to get totally overwhelmed. But besides that, I would still say that Take Profit Trader is better anyways. But it's not an either or. It's not like you can't do both of them. So it's not you have to do Take Profit Trader or Apex. I mean, you can do both. All I'm saying is that for the beginner, start off with Take Profit Trader. Ease yourself in and don't get totally overwhelmed. And as an FYI, I do delete talk of all other prop firms out of here because it's like there's psychological proof that when you have too many choices, it creates inaction because people kind of buckle up. So don't even talk. Those are the two I'll talk about. And they are the two that I happen to have codes for. But that, to my credit a little bit, I'm not out here. I'm not going to, I could have code Clay for like 8 different prop firms. But I'm not sure that's actually helping anybody because now I'm throwing 8 different choices at people. And as a beginner, talk about feeling overwhelmed. Wait, what's the difference between this prop firm and that? Wait, what's that rule? No, forget it. I'm not going to do this prop firm stuff. When prop firms are actually a really good thing for all the reasons discussed. So yes, I delete out. Those are the 2 I talk about. Well, really, I only talk about Take Profit Trader because my assumption here is my goal for this live stream is to make people aware of Pam's plant. So I'm assuming, therefore, that you are a beginner to the prop firm world. But yeah, if people want to bring up Apex, I don't have a problem talking about them. I just put the contingency on you better be an intermediate or advanced prop firm trader. Good morning. Thank you for the Saturday stream. Great time for the comprehensive market analysis. Thank you, Raven. Glad you enjoy. How long is the process to get set up for a TP? Very not long at all, Rob. So if you were to start, like, let's say create an account right now, Rob, make the purchase, you'd be good to go by Monday morning. Many ways to skin the trading cat. Yeah, I mean, there's many ways. I agree. Many ways, but some ways are way more efficient than others. Is it a monthly membership with a prop firm? Only during the test phase. So during this phase right here, yes, that fee that you see that says per month, that's during the test. So hey, how long do I have to pass my test? You can take as long as you want. But that's why I tell you to try to get it done within a month, which is more than enough time. So you don't have to rush, but get it done within a month because after you go from the test into the pro accounts, over here there is $0 monthly fee. So the monthly fee is only right there. But yeah, try to get out of that monthly fee, out of the test phase within that month. Yes, I've started watching you in 2020, then went private circle, then many years of day trading swing trade. Now I'm in the process of opening my hedge fund, all thanks to your stuff. Cool. Well, I wish you all the best with your hedge fund. I hope it works out for you. Just remember me when you got your private island from all the money you made from your island reversal and send me an invite so I can come check out your private island. All right, I am once again caught up. We're at the 2-hour mark, so I don't mind going a little bit while longer if there's any final questions or requests. I love to talk about the prop firms because this right here, I think I helped out a couple people today. I know Ruben and hopefully a couple other people. But it's cool to shed light on somebody's situation. The situation most common is I don't have a lot of money. Therefore, I can't be a day trader because of that pattern day trading rule. So I've got to trade either meme coins or penny stocks or low floats or something like this. And I've got to take on all these big risks and I got to hold overnight because, yeah, I'd like to be a day trader, but the pattern day trading rule, I just don't have enough. I love that because then I can sit here and throw Pam's plan at them, which starts off strong. Yeah, that pattern day trading rule, hey, there is none. And then you factor in the prop firms and the low capital required. And then that low capital required is also the way to protect your money with the risk. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. And the best thing is that, like, to share a genuinely good idea with somebody. But then, yeah, full disclosure, if you use code Clay, I'll make some money. Because that is a referral code. So that is a way that gives, and now it's a good deal for you because it's also helping you get a promotion and get promotion pricing. But yeah, it throws some money in my pocket too. So it's a win-win. I am giving a genuine good idea and I'm making a little money. Talk about a win-win set of circumstances. $1,500 is the pass. Yeah, why did you throw out 3 different question marks? Correct. For the 25K, in order to pass, you've got to make 1,500. But they also want you to manage risk, so don't lose 1,500. Why the 3 question marks? Do you look at that and think that's a crazy amount of money to make? I saw a video series about futures from you like 6 years ago. Very, very informative and helpful. I learned a lot from you. Yeah, John. Yeah. It might still be the case, John, but my future series on YouTube, it used to be like the number one, which is still kind of mind-boggling. I've had 2 videos in my YouTube history, which started in 2013, where my video was number 1, like in the world, where if you start, the one for one reason is how to buy a stock. Like that one, and that one ended up getting like, I don't remember. I think it's at like, it might be over 2 million views, but regardless, like it's kind of a crazy thought when you're like, wow, if somebody in the world, how to buy a stock, like my video popped up number 1. Now it's since been pushed way down the algorithm, but my futures course might still be that. I'm not quite sure. So if you were to just search how to trade futures, I don't know if class number 1 of my free series pops up, but it used to for a while because class number 1 has over 1 million views now. So it's kind of weird to think, wow, that at one point, 2 videos were, if you, and on pretty relevant topics, were like literally the number 1 video in the world, like YouTube, that would promote people to. Still telling everyone about your YouTube and other stuff. Well, thank you, Alexander. Just making sure. All right, good, David. Because now I understand. Some people, if you've never made $1,500 in a month, you could be looking at that and saying, there's no way I could pass that within a month. But that's where I keep going back. I'm telling you, futures, they move. They move. So $1,500 in a month is certainly reasonable. All right, well, I'm not seeing, I'll stall for a little bit while longer, but we're at the 2-hour mark. If you don't mind and you've enjoyed, hit that like button. Pushing this up over 80 would be good. So if you've been enjoying, if you've learned, if you've been entertained, maybe Pam's Plant, you're like, Pam's Plant, I just got some life-changing information. Who knew that I could become a day trader for $105? Well, yeah, you can. You can, brother. You absolutely can. On a side note, I have this free webinar this upcoming week. I'll throw this in the chat room. So if you want to learn more about kind of the tools I use, how I build consistency, how I manage risk, and just make sure you have a right framework that you're operating from, check out that link I just threw there. Get signed up for that. And yeah, use the link in the chat room there. That's I have the message pinned at the top of the chat, or it's at the top of the screen. Go to that link and then just use code Clay at checkout, and you'll be able to get the 30% discount and then the $0 activation fee. And that is a way to support the channel. And the joke around here is because I have 6 kids, you can help feed my family. Right now we're all sick, so get us some medicine. Use code Clay, and my kids will eat and get some medicine. So, but in all seriousness, if you do have other live streamer that you want to support, you like them better than me, it's surely not because they're better looking than me. I am by far the best looking live streamer out there, and it's not even close. But maybe there's another reason why you like them more than me and you want to support them. That's totally fine too. Go use their code. Do what you feel most comfortable with. But yes, if you do enjoy the live stream, you want to support the live stream, then using code Clay is a way to not only help yourself out because that'll get you the promotion, but it is a way to help support the channel. So, well, I'm going to go ahead and call it good. Looks like this chat's kind of slowed down, and we've been going at it for 2 hours anyways, which is kind of where I like to keep the Saturday morning live streams anyways. I will be back Monday morning at the very latest 11 a.m. Eastern, which reminds me, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications because usually I show up a little bit early. How early? I don't know, but with the notifications on, you'll know exactly when I go live. But at the very latest, I'll be back at 11 a.m. Eastern time on Monday. But again, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications so you know exactly when I do go live. So I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. Don't do anything stupid. It's hard to trade if you're in jail, so just keep that in mind. And yeah, if there's anything else that you need, swing by on Monday and ask in the chat, and I'll try to address it then. But I wish you all well, and yeah, hopefully to those of you that are going to be getting into Pam's Plant, I look forward to hearing your thoughts, even though I'm pretty sure you're going to come back and say, Clay, I'm glad I moved to futures because futures are awesome because, yeah, they really are. Have a good weekend, everybody.